Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining me here for the Crystal Ball reading for October 24th. My name is Carol Ann Carey. I am a psychic medium here in Sarasota, Florida. I am the show host of In the Psychic Flow, which you can watch Thursday evenings on Goldilocks Productions on YouTube, on X, Twitter, and BitChute. I am streaming this live. I have not done this before, so let's see how this works on YouTube. See what we get tonight. We're going to cover some areas I had made notes for previous to this. As it comes to me, questions to ask the crystal ball to look. I've been doing this for about a year, so I'm still relatively new to the crystal ball. So I give you what I see, try to keep my opinion out of it, but then again, you never know. Now, there were some things I mentioned. I just finished doing a show where I was doing some personal readings. I did mention a few global things, so let me just preface this reading by saying what I have seen is difficulties, scarcity of things that we need in everyday life. That's going to happen. And I've mentioned in several previous crystal ball global predictions that there would be shortages and the need for prepping food and water and stuff like that, and cash. So I had mentioned that several times. As you know, now we are going to start experiencing, hopefully not for long, the dock workers strike. So I had seen difficulties and scarcity with container ships. Here we are. So, of course, I'm not the only one that has seen that, but for me, kind of remarkable. So let's see what else we have, what's going on here. So as these things are ramping up, the threat of war, difficulties in the Middle East, things popping up all over the place, there is a sense of urgency. There's a sense of scarcity, of fear, and horrific events like hurricanes and things have been happening. We have to realize that we don't grow when everything is peaceful and going wonderfully. We grow and find our soul work through difficulty. That's how we find these things. Unfortunately, that's the benefit. That's the flip side of it. We are in for difficulties. There's no way to sugarcoat this. This is not going to be an easy time through the end of the year. And one of the things I've mentioned, I think I mentioned last month, you can go to my website, carolancarey.com. My name is spelled CarolanCarey.com. And I've mentioned previously that, I think I mentioned it last month, that the election, we may not know till January, till like almost swearing in time, what's going on, who won. There are going to be difficulties with this election, which I think we've anticipated anyway, but for sure, I'm getting corrections to be made. Now, many readings back, I had mentioned that I did not see Mr. Biden at the finish. I also don't see VP Harris going further. What I do see with her is a possibility, a temporary. If something should happen, she would be the first choice to step in until someone is elected, whether that be her or someone else, Mr. Trump, President Trump. But so there we go. I think that there's a temporary feeling to her. After that, nothing with her. Maybe just like maybe something with Congress or whatever, but not much. So that's also my personal feeling, but is also what I see. So, if you don't like it, you can stop watching. It's okay. But in any event, there's difficulties with the election. There's difficulties with obtaining food, money, gasoline, water, all of these things. The threat of war definitely is all hanging over us at the moment. So you don't need a crystal ball to know that. So, but what I'm seeing is that this is going to go into mid 2025, some problems globally. I feel like we're being sucked in like a vacuum to some kind of like global things that we don't want to be part of. I think most Americans don't want to deal with this, whatever this is. Could be world war, I don't know. But it's not good, and we don't want to be part of it. For some reason, we feel like we're being forced in or sucked in. There is that impression. This will not last forever. This is a temporary thing. Difficulties are temporary. Things will improve. Temporary, maybe a year or two. Sorry to say that. There's an unevenness. All this to talk about equality and all of that. There's still an unevenness here. There's difficulties for some people and not for others. And we're seeing that. We're trying to achieve a balance. I'm seeing like the scales of justice, trying to achieve a balance here. That seems to be like the number one priority. I don't know if this is criminal cases, if this is just the law in general, but it's going to be very important to achieve some kind of balance. It's one of the priorities. I also do feel another attempt on Mr. Trump, President Trump, which he avoids. There's another attempt. It could be an explosion, which he remains unhurt, I think, or survives this, whatever it is, very luckily. But there are other attacks on other politicians and maybe Congress or senators or something. It's also some kind of target attacks on them. I also see the release of some information that we have not had previously about different things that have happened in the past. Let's say J6 at the DNC, at the RNC, difficulties that were maybe not explored, going to come to light. Big shocker, whatever this is, big shocker. And this could be the President Trump case. It could be, but it's not just him. It is some kind of case. Maybe it's about immunity or something. There's a big shocker coming with this, which like everybody's going to be like really surprised. And, you know, some people will be very happy about this, but there's something very shocking coming out about this. It also could be the Hollywood thing going on, the Diddy thing going on, something very shocking coming out about high profile. And again, there has to be, I feel like people are, other countries are taking advantage of our disarray, and there will be attempts like hacking and sabotage and, excuse me, explosions. Also get Queens. Now, I think that they mean Queens, New York. I don't think they mean the Queen of England, who's passed, or Camilla. I think they mean Queens, New York, which is what I'm saying. Something there is, I feel like the whole borough is shut down. Something happens, could be an explosion, could be threats, then the whole borough is shut down for some reason. Something about power grids, maybe it's a sabotage to an electrical grid or power grid or something like that. Also, seeing we've talked about with the hurricane here in Florida that went up to North Carolina, Virginia, that area, devastation. I do see recovery with that, but 1 to 2 years, unfortunately. And some people will never recover, unfortunately. A lot of movement, people moving from the from the middle of the country to one side or the other, which probably isn't any better, but excuse me. terroristic attacks. Excuse me. Getting the chokes all of a sudden. I think that means fire. Here, so that's unrest here. We have like an underlying unrest going on right now in the United States and around the world. Rioting, civil disobedience, all kinds of things going on, which is only going to ramp up. But it becomes more threatening. If you can imagine that, it becomes more threatening. But something's not. I feel like a wall comes down. Like this is going to be it. It is going to be dealt with. It's going to be stopped. I also feel that militaries involved. Could be National Guard, could be Army. It's gonna. They're going to be brought in to stop this chaos. There is a threat, a terroristic threat. There is worsening in Iran, Iraq, Syria. Excuse me. Can smell fire. In the Middle East, Iran and Palestine and Israel. Israel be almost flattened. They're trying to prevent being flattened. Very aggressive action. We have naval vessels and aircraft and things around global and stationed in case something kicks off. By the end of 2025, prior to mid 2025, a lot of our military assets, are going to be brought home because of a threat. Let's look at Japan here. I don't know why Japan is coming up. I don't know if that's part of the threat. Some kind of disease, illness, sickness is imported as a threat. So we have all of these negative things coming up. Let me go beyond this. This year and next year are tumultuous, but in the end, by 2026, we can look back and see why it was such a turmoil. There is a better system in place. There's something about money, a better money system, more quality, more reasonableness. People are putting their foot down. Everyday people are running for parts of our government, so you won't see the elites in there. You won't see this continuous generational thing or 50 years in Congress. You're not going to see that anymore. You're going to see everyday people. More campaign money available to regular people. People stepping up and governing their own towns and businesses and metropolis. People are going to come forward. A revamp in education. Eventually, you'll have higher learning, but they won't be like called Ivy League. They will be higher learning, but it'll be more accessible to a lot of people. It won't be like have the elite status. It'll be like something, if you have the aptitude, you're in. There'll be money put aside for that. More medical intervention, better medical things, regeneration of cartilage, bone, vascular, excuse me, tissue. Politically, things have to change for all of this to be accomplished. Now, I'm not saying that one person has the answer. It'll be a collective of people. And in the future, the government is going to be set up differently. It's still going to be a republic, but there are things that are going to be less of red tape, if you will. Streamlined. Things get done faster. There is a renewed sense of pride and patriotism, of course, but there is also more attention being paid to our own needs here. Also see an increase in growing our farmland being reclaimed, repatriated, whatever you want to say, not being dominated. More dairy farms, more growing fields, more of that. So through all this, we will learn that is the best way to continue. By 2027, 2028, I would say we'll be back to when the dust settles. Global peace, more or less. Like the ashes are still burning a bit. But we're going to say never again and really mean it. We're going to be like, this is never going to happen again. We're very close, but we're going to stamp this out. There's a lot of destruction, a lot of rebuilding, a lot of things that we can't recapture. But we're going to instill a dignity and a rebuilding, this new sense of purpose with our allies. More of a working together. I see more of this together, hands holding hands. So that is the good news. Well, that's what I get. I could get more, but it'll take forever to upload it. So if you have any questions, you can email me, my website. You can text me. My information is on there, carolancarey.com. You can join me Thursday evenings, Goldilocks Productions, in the Psychic Flow, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard on Thursdays. Thank you so much for joining me. Good night.